Going live. Okay, we're live. Hello,
Hello.
hello, hello, everyone. American Center Tashkent is welcoming you at the latest edition of the USG Alumni Talks. My name is Dania. I work at the American Center Tashkent, and I'd like to thank all of you for joining us today. And remind, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section, and our speaker will answer them following the presentation. And now I'm pleased to introduce our guest speaker, Durdona Akhmadjonova.
Hello,
Durdona,
everyone.
hello, Durdona. Durdona Akhmadjonova, recent graduate from Inha University in Tashkent, majoring in logistics and business. Currently, she is working as a project manager at the Le Bazaar company. She's a UGRAD exchange program participant in 2018-19 spring semester. And today, Durdona will talk about her unforgettable UGRAD experience. Welcome, Durdona, to our live discussion. It's so wonderful to have you here today.
Thank you, Dania, for your introduction, and hello, everyone, one more time. So,
All right.
I'm going.
I'm
I'm
giving the
going.
floor to you and
Okay.
turn your presentation on, right?
Okay. Thank you. So, I was a girl with a dream to study abroad or just travel and get education from one of the universities of the developed countries. So, this passion of traveling or going abroad always made me stay curious about opportunities that are available in Uzbekistan. So the global UGRAD was that very opportunity which made my dreams come true. So what is actually global UGRAD? It is a global exchange program, undergraduate exchange program. It is fully funded and non-degree one semester program. It is sponsored by US Department of State's Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs. It covers all the expenses. So what I mean by this, it's like travel to and from the United States, your tuition fee, your accommodation, your meal plan, and of course the most important is you will receive a stipend monthly of $300. So Global UGRAD is actually one of the programs that can make dreams come true of any person and become so unforgettable just like mine and open a new page in your life. So actually Global UGRAD made my double dreams come true. So I was placed in the University of Wisconsin Green Bay, and I was a participant for 2018 in 19 year for spring semester, and of course, obviously, my university was located in the Wisconsin state. And why I said my double dreams came true because I have always dreamed about like living by the sea or river or ocean or lake. And my University of Wisconsin Green Bay was located like near the lake, Michigan. So we had access and I could easily walk and enjoy the view, and the nature was just breathtaking. So today my story consists of the following. So today I will talk about or share my experience in academic life in the United States, and cultural exchange, and most interesting and important part, traveling. And I'm going to share with you my personal tips and tricks or hacks of traveling and getting most of it, and how this whole exchange, this experience helped me to become confident and be successful in my another exchange experience in South Korea. So, as I have expected, the United States has totally different academic system. I mean, educational system. So, first of all, I want to emphasize that as a student of School of Logistics at Inha University in Uzbekistan, I chose the business administration faculty with majoring in supply chain in Wisconsin University. And it opened a big a chance for me to deepen and strengthen my knowledge because it had a big for example the resource center, and my university had 6th floor library and where I could just swim inside the books. And what really surprised me was that, like, I could have, for example, access to the not just the books or resources or research papers that are like brand new or very old one, but I could just discuss, for example, books or research papers with people who are sitting in the learning centers located in the library itself. So US education system is so sophisticated and also very interesting and entertaining, so that you can just not only learn what you are, for example, not only learn subjects that are directly related to your, for example, faculty, but anything. It can be sports, music, or just dancing and things like that. And so you studying in the United States helped me to discover my new skills, open my like hidden, for example, skills, character, and practice them. So I took the directly related subjects. For example, I was a business student, so I had this kind of, for example, subjects. For example, marketing, consumer behavior, or like logistics management. But I tried to take the same course which I have already taken before. For example, it was international marketing. First of all, I thought it will be boring, but I was so into this subject, so I decided to take it twice. And I would advise to others as well to take this subject, because I mean, same subject twice, because it can help you to strengthen your knowledge, because you are going to experience two different professors, two different perspectives, and teaching and, for example, teaching methods. So as for me, when I took the marketing before, it was just theory based, but in United States, I could see practical marketing, because my subject was mostly project oriented. And also United States universities offer language courses, which is like, uh, for example, you can take not just, for example, business or psychology or things like that, but you can also learn new languages, for example, French, Spanish, or German. As for me, I didn't take any kind of language courses, because English was already a big deal for me, because at the beginning, when I just came to the university and the classes began, I completely didn't understand what was my professor saying. Yeah, it was a little terrifying that I couldn't catch up with the class, and so I saw that I will fail consequently. But what I did was I just came to the professors after classes, or I just arranged it like office hours with them, so that I explained them that I didn't understand the classes, and whether it was possible to slow down a little bit. And even if the professors looked terrifying, they were very kind and helpful, because they just said okay, and they really changed the pace of their speech, even if it affected other students in the class. And what is very kind and surprising and very sweet is that I received emails after classes asking if I could understand all the concepts which were discussed during the class. And it was so sweet, and this confidence was my confidence increased, and I just really worked hard to prove that I am like learning. And even before the exams, I received like a pack of like how to say, the preparation for materials, so I could catch up with the class. And after some time, I got used to their English, and I increased my listening and understanding skills. And I found out that actually the Wisconsin people actually had this Wisconsinish accent, and they couldn't, they actually didn't pronounce R's and D's like we pronounce. So in the United States, studying in the United States, like taught me that I don't have to study and get good grades, but I should be engaged with some extracurricular activities. Like it can be participating in events, for example, that is happening in the campus. It can be basketball games or swimming tournaments and things like that. And also I could practice, for example, some other sports like indoor sports, playing table tennis, and I could actively exercise when I have free time. And one of the part of the UGRAD program is that you have to do 20 hours of the community service. So at the beginning I thought, oh, okay, I have to work for Americans for free for 20 hours, but it's not actually like that. It is a lot of fun than you can imagine. So I could do, for example, work with kids, work in botanical garden. I worked with flowers, learned how different flowers, for example, America has, and things like that. And also these all helped me not just practice my English, but I could find out that I am good at, for example, with nature and with children and things like that. So what is my advice to the people who are applying to the UGRAD or anybody else who is going abroad? Just academic life is difficult, that you have to, for example, survive alone, like survive during these terrifying exams. But what you should do is just go out with the sun, just explore. There are so many new things. Don't be afraid. Like, there are people who are like you, who can understand and help you. So just go for it and just do what is coming inside you. So this also helped me to exchange cultural differences. And for example, I didn't only experience different cultures in the United States, but actually I could happily share my own culture, Uzbek culture. So how I shared my Uzbek culture, first of all, when I stepped to the airport of the Wisconsin, like people started asking where I was from, because the plane was so small when I was flying, and so a lot of people knew each other, and I was kind of a stranger on the plane. So people started asking where I was from, and I just said I'm from Uzbekistan, and they were like, "Oh, okay, Pakistan," and I was like, "No, Uzbekistan." And you know what? Most people just knew Pakistan from Eastern countries, so it was something new for them. So I had to sometimes open, for example, maps and show where is it. And people even said like, "Oh, so you are from Russia? Are you part of Russia?" And at the beginning, it was so disappointing that they didn't know at all where I was coming from. But after some time, I realized that I was the only representative of my country. So I started just being so hardworking, and I just started telling them where is it, what kind of history it has, and what's our language and traditions. So as a part of my representing, I brought some small presents, and here you can see my, for example, roommates, and they were studying journalism. So it was so interesting for them to learn new country, new traditions. So they were happy receiving these small presents from me. So, and also I brought some and gave to, for example, my advisor. It is international students office. I brought some presents exactly to this office, because I knew that as more the international students visit this office, they can see and ask, "Oh, what kind of country's flag is that?" Or what is this, for example, you are wearing? Or what is this that is standing there? What kind of statue? Where is it from? So my advisors could answer with like a pleasure, or with being sure that it is Uzbekistan. And as part of sharing my culture, I cook traditional dishes for my international and American friends. And it was also like amazing experience, because I could share not just the food, but the ingredients and the process, how it's made. So I became more like a sophisticated representative of Uzbekistan. And I tried to bring our flag to whenever I go. And I think most of you here had this kind of experience when you were a small child. You maybe saw a lot of foreigners coming, and you tried to stop them and talk to them, and you were just learning English, right? So and I also did the same. I tried to approach foreigners and ask where they were from and what they are doing here. So, UGRAD gave me a chance so that I could also practice being a foreigner. Because I do remember this story when I was just taking photos with my flag near this bin in Chicago, Illinois. People stopped me and started asking, "What kind of flag is that? Where are you from?" And I do remember 8 to 10 people stopped me and asked me about, for example, myself, about my flag and what it represented. So it was so like exciting and interesting experience. And I also tried to wear our traditional dresses to show them what kind of cultural dress we have, and I even showed some of our like dancing actions. So even my international friends like imitated me after me. So it was so funny and interesting story experience. So the United States is just one single country with like so many cultures. It's really cosmopolitan. So I'm so happy that I could experience and physically be participate in the holiday Holi, for example, and wear that traditional henna, and I could taste, for example, Thai, Chinese, Japanese, and Pakistani and Indian food, which was so spicy. And very interesting point here is that I could experience being part of Easter. So our professors prepare this kind of chocolate, for example, plates for us for Easter morning. So it was so sweet that we started our days with sweet. So, and they started explaining us what they actually do, what kind of traditions, what kind of processes actually they do during the Easter. So this was my experience, and as a part of exchanging and experiencing the culture, I'm very museum type good girl. Yeah, you may not think that I'm museum type girl, but I really love attending, for example, going to museums and learn the history of some place or something. So as a part of this program, I also try to go to the museums as much as I could. So one of them I want to share is here. It's Lambeau Field. Maybe it's one of the famous stadiums in the Wisconsin Green Bay, where the Packers is the team who won softball 3 or more times, and in, except just the stadium, this place has its own museum, own shop, so you can learn the history and the progress of the, for example, team, and learn. And we had this experience of just coming out to the stadium as a football player, and I'm so happy that I could experience being a football player, and with this million or trillion people's like applauses coming out from the, for example, microphones. So it was also a very interesting experience. And my roommates always insist me that the very American thing is the baseball game, because it also has its own tradition, how they watch it, how they celebrate its, for example, victory. So I was so happy that I could also attend to the baseball game for the game Milwaukee Brewers. I think as it's very famous, and it also gave me this kind of like American atmosphere where I could taste these Doritos or chips, different chips, and people were just shouting and were so happy when they could hit the ball. Yeah, actually, it's not that interesting game. It's a little boring because you have to wait until this man, like one player, hits the ball and things like that. But the victory is so surprising because out of nowhere the fireworks starts like working. So it's also very interesting experience as a culture experience. And Wisconsin is actually very cold state. I would say it's really cold. Yeah, I was warned before I was leaving Uzbekistan. They said, "Oh, you are going to experience an extreme cold." Yeah, it is. Its average is from 26 to 30. Yeah, it is freezing cold, and you are going to have like snow until like April. But you know what? Even it was so cold, and during my stay, it frozen. So it was so cold that everybody was just wearing like tons of clothes with them. And but you know what? I couldn't even feel even -1, because people around the Wisconsin, around my campus, and even strangers were so kind and always saying, stay warm, with a warm smile. And once you feel this care, this kind of like warm words from outside, even if you don't know them, it really keeps you like warm, and you don't feel that you are cold or freezing. And if the snow also feels like some kind of magic thing. So this was my cultural experience in the Wisconsin Green Bay. And coming to the most important and interesting part, traveling. I can talk about this like in hours, because traveling is the most important part of the program. You can experience adventures, like you can develop your leadership skills. You can experience whether you are a team player or like a leader, and you can taste the hardships of the road, and you can see diverse, for example, types of transportations, whether you can because you use bus, train, or airplane and things like that. And at the beginning, when I just landed to the Wisconsin, I thought that I'm not going to live to anywhere. I thought that I'm going to just stay in one state and don't go anywhere, because I thought, how can I go and travel alone? But fortunately, I had those international friends who had the common interest and who were also passionate about traveling. So we could just make some plans and go and travel together. So coming to my personal tips and tracks, and or I would say hacks about the traveling, I can share some of them, because I visited 5 states, more than 10 cities in the United States, and I used only my stipend. Yeah, I had some money for, like, I would say, bad days, but I didn't use them. I would say no, not at all, but I used them, some of them, but I used only the stipend. So how to make this money so effective, how to use this money effectively so you can see more places in the United States. So first of all, I would say be planned beforehand. It means before going to the United States, just have that list of states, cities, and exact places you want to go. So in my case, I wanted to go to Silicon Valley, as I'm very interested in business. So I had my plan, like, okay, I'm going to California. In California, which city, for example? Okay, I'm going to San Francisco, for example, Los Angeles, and also the cities as well, for example, places itself, for example, headquarters of the big companies like Google, Apple, and things like that. Have this plan with you before going there, because once, if you don't have this plan, like, a lot of things will go wrong. I mean, not exactly wrong, but you won't get most of it, or things may get mixed up, or things like that. And second, do your homework. What I mean by this, so if once you have your plan, try to prioritize them, so you know how much money currently you have, and just sit down. So with whom you are going to travel, for example, you have 3 or 4 people in your team, so who is going to be lead, or anybody, everybody is team players, things like that. And to start the research, doing a research, for example, how far is it from your state, your host university? So are you taking air transport or road transportation? So, and for choosing accommodation, I would advise, of course, Airbnb, as it's the cheapest one. But here I want to draw your attention. Do research about your Airbnb house as well, because in my case, we didn't do a research. It was so cheap, so we just booked it. And after all, it was located in the crime avenue, so it was so terrifying staying there. So don't do this kind of mistake. So just open Airbnb application. There are like customer reviews and like rates, so just try to read all of them, and contact with your host and things like that. Do your homework, then start your for example, trip, and arrange these all trips 3 or 4 weeks before, because the prices, for example, ticket prices for even if it's low coster, and if you arrange it a lot earlier, you are going to get a lot of discounts. Even Airbnb is going to be much cheaper if you book it like 3 or 4 weeks before. So you are going to get a lot of discounts, and you will just minimize your spendings. And so far I talked about how to like manage effectively your money. And the last thing is time management. So how are you going to manage going, for example, 5 or 6 states in 4 months? So I would say, as I have already told, that I took like 5 courses in one semester, so you can take 3 to 5 courses, and it's quite manageable, and you can just use your, for example, weekends for traveling, but you cannot go far, right? So for this, if you want to go far, just like me, from Wisconsin to California to different parts of the United States, you have your spring break. Or if you are going to fall semester, you have your winter break. So you can use this time just going to further states. And you know, again, I told you that you are not there only just study, so don't prioritize that you have to study like all the time. Yeah, you have to study, but not all the time. So it means you can do, for example, your homework or do your projects on the way. For example, I had those term papers, and I had to submit, for example, my project materials on time. So what I did was I just did my term paper. I just wrote my term paper on the way, on the bus to the Chicago, for example, and I submitted my project materials when I was on the top of the 106th floor. Yeah, it's also some kind of adventure so that you can mix your academic and social life together. So overall, you can take a lot of good pictures. You can create, for example, you can make adventures. You can have adventures. You can create memories and be so satisfied that you have seen so many places in one semester, or just stay in one single state and come back home with a brand new iPhone. So you decide. So overall, this whole experience was so breathtaking and unforgettable, and it helped for my personal development, my academic life, my social life, and everything. It also helped me how to make good friends, for example, how to socialize and things like that. And this all really helped me for my continuous exchange program, where I went to South Korea, which was this program was like initiated by the Inha University in Tashkent. So this whole experience helped me to be successful in my stay in the South Korea, because I could like organize trips with my course mates. I could just practice my leadership skills. I could show them, and at the same time be successful in my academic life. So overall, my journey from being Durdona, who just went to school and came back home and didn't go anywhere, to Durdana, this is how my American friends call, was just an amazing. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much, Durdona, for your remarkable and a great presentation. It was so fun, and time just flew. We actually got questions, so let me read them out. So people commented saying that this looks so exciting. You are doing great, Durdona. Looks amazing. Yeah. Seems like you have traveled a lot. So the first question is from Nodurjan Yusufov. Okay. He's asking, going for an exchange program, especially to the US, is awesome. However, saying goodbye to people with whom you lived a semester of awesome experiences could be hard at the end of the program. Did you also feel it?
Yeah, actually, it was the most heartbreaking part of my journey because, it was so difficult to say goodbye to, first of all, to my roommates because, we became so like siblings, like sisters. So we cried a lot, like saying goodbye. And of course, with my international friends who were coming from all over the world, and we had to live in different times, so somebody left like early, somebody after me, so it was also like so miserable, I would say, time when like I had to say goodbye. Even in the airport, like, we couldn't stop hugging each other, and we couldn't even say, and even, the airport workers were stopping us. Okay, maybe I will buy a ticket for you so that you also go with them. I wish I could do so. Yeah, it was like very heartbreaking point
Oh,
for
so
me as well.
sweet. So you became as one family.
Yes, and what's important is that we still keep in touch. That's the most important.
Thank you. Next question from Asad bin Saif. Uh, he's asking, did you get a cultural shock when you first came to US? If yes, how did you cope up with that?
Yeah, actually, I had this cultural shock when I saw people like wearing shorts or slippers when it was like -30 outside, and I couldn't
Wow.
understand why they were doing so. But actually, their immunity is that strong that they can tolerate this cold. But because I was like wearing like double scarves or double hats because it was that cold. And one more cultural shock was that people were like a lot of they love partying a lot, like all the weekends, for example. Oh, let's hang out. And I said, oh, don't you have like lessons to study? But they study on time so that they have enough time to have fun during the weekends. Yeah, how I coped with that is I tried to ask a lot of questions, so I become get
Mm.
used to it. So I tried to, oh, why you do that, for example, how do you do that, and when, like this. So this really helped, like communication is the king anyways.
Oh, that's great that you overcame this cultural shock. Next question from Mayo Castillo. What's one of your best memories in the US?
So best memories are a lot, I would say. Like I cannot just say one is the best one, but I would say my best memory, and I will never forget because it was a big lesson and adventure for me. It was in Los Angeles. Like I brought some money. I told you that I brought some money with me, and it was my Uzbek card, and I thought it will work in the United States.
Uh,
And I just spent all my money. I booked, for example, for my travels and accommodation, and I said, "Oh, I have this my money on my like card," and I was so confident. And when I just stopped in the shop and wanted to pay, and it didn't work. I was almost like broke, that I didn't have
wow.
any money left, and I had to live there for like one more week in the California. So it's yeah, I burst into like a cry. I just started crying. So now what I will do, I don't have any money. And yes, thanks God, my friends really helped me, and I learned a lot of lessons from that. So the team and people around me is really important, and I have to be ready for any kind of situation, because it was really my first time having no money. And like it also helped me to be strong in hard times.
Mhm.
That's why it's a best memory, I would say.
It toughed you up, right?
Yeah.
Okay, next question from Gulshan Mahmudova. Did you do any sports while you were on your program?
Yeah, actually, I learned how to play pool, and I did it regularly and I believe that it really helped with my like thinking and being very like careful. And I also learned I did a lot of cardios to be like healthy and fit. And also I learned and practiced how to play, for example, bowling. Yeah, it may not seem sometimes sport, but it also requires some kind of actions, right? So I counted it as a sport. And yeah, I could swim or I could play basketball or volleyball, but because I had like little time, so I just stayed with these three sports.
Okay, thank you. Next question from Oman Achilov. Did you have any arguments or disagreements while traveling with a group? Don't you think it's better to travel alone or with just one or two people?
Yeah, actually, I had disagreements with team members because, of course, like not everybody thinks like you, and sometimes you have to sacrifice your decisions or your plans because your team, for example, members want another thing while you want the other one. So I really had disagreements, but. We actually traveled with four people usually, or 4 to 5 people. So when I had agreement with one girl, the others supported. For example, they didn't blame, for example, me or her, but started to talk and just find the root cause of this problem rather than just blaming somebody. So I think it depends on the person and whether you have like better people in your team. And yeah, I agree, traveling alone or to with few people is bad, like good in some terms, but in the United States and being a traditional Uzbek girl, I prefer to be with more people. But yeah, in, for example, South Korea, I traveled usually alone or with few people. Yeah, I agree with that. Like sometimes it's better to be alone or with few people if you cannot find a good team members, I would say.
I see. Thank you. Next question from Isatbek Tokurjanov. Uh, he says, it would be really great if you could give some tips on application procedures.
Yeah, sure. So for the application, first of all, you should just go to their link, UGRAD link, or if you know, it's on the like U.S. Embassy's website. You can just easily find it. And in the application procedure, what I would really advise is pay attention to your recommendation letters. So you have to have 2 recommendation letters from your professors or from your employee if you work, employer if you work. So don't underestimate it. It's really important, and the better it is, the more chance you will be like counted as a candidate. And also in your, for example, you have to write an essay for this program, and in the essay also my tip is be very honest. Like even if you have like disadvantages or weaknesses, just tell to the audience that you have it and you are going to improve these weaknesses. And most important part is this one. And whenever you are going to fill these all questions in the application, for example online, again, be very honest. Don't lie or just add something, don't exaggerate, just be you so that you are going to succeed.
Okay, thank you. Next question from Sogdiona Khushnudbekova. One of the main parts of UGRAD is the chance to learn more about yourself and your hidden potential. So,
Right.
what life lessons this experience taught you that changed you to the positive side?
Yeah, I really agree with her statement that it really like opens your hidden potential and maybe your corners that you have never thought you have them. For example, for me, I was a shy girl before. I told you that I was just going to school and coming back home, so I didn't like have fun at all, I would say. So the United States, my experience in the United States really taught me that I have this potential or I have this ability that I can talk. So I can talk to people, I can socialize, I can go, for example, out with the sun and I can just tell my opinion. And it's okay to be, for example, sometimes different than others. So it's okay not to always agree to somebody. The real life lesson was that the communication is the important, so that you can speak, you can socialize, I would say. So now it really affected me. So even in my current job, like even if if I didn't have this kind of ability that I can talk and go against, for example, wave, I wouldn't apply or be successful in my, for example, in my management career, I would say.
Right. Thank you very much. Next question from Jamshid Ahmadaliyev. How UGRAD changed your life? Is your life divided now to life before and after the program UGRAD?
So yeah, maybe from my slides and from my speech, you could notice that it is actually really changed. UGRAD actually changed my life, but yeah, I would say it is divided and not divided, because I became better Durdona now, because I know that I can do something. I know that I can go further, and I can handle, for example, hardships and things like that. So I would say why it's not divided, because I had these abilities. I believe that I had these abilities before as well, and they just opened up after the United States, maybe. So I think I am still that person, and so not divided. I think, yeah, it's not divided, but it really affected my life, and it really changed my life to
This
the
is great.
better to the
side.
better place. Yeah, better side.
Okay. Great. Another question from Sahir Muhammad. Who taught you how to play pool?
Yeah, how to play pool? Yeah, actually, it is not a big sport. It wasn't big sport in the University of Wisconsin Green Bay, but we had so many playgrounds in, for example, students union. So there were a lot of young guys who were playing, and at first I just watched them how they played, and it seemed so fun because they were just having a lot of fun. So I asked one of my international friends to help me if they know, and they said, "Oh, why didn't you ask me before? I know how to play, and I didn't know that you are interested." So they just started helping me with how to play the pool.
Okay, thank you. Another question about application form. What is the most important part of your application for the program?
Oh, what was the most important part? Yeah, actually, it is divided into 3 parts, right? First, you submit the application, then you are called for the interview if you are like a conditional candidate, and last, you will take a TOEFL exam. So I think the most important part out of these 3 is interview. So you are just called out of like a lot of maybe 200 people to the interview, and it's the important part because you have to show yourself, and it's not easy to answer 3 like foreign for example people standing next to you, and they are asking different kinds of questions. So it's I think it wasn't easy for me as well, because after the interview I just came out from the, for example, building, and I said, "Oh, okay, they're not accepting me at all," because I couldn't reply to any kind of questions, because I had this belief that I couldn't reply. So if you are applying, or if you are chosen for the interview, prepare well, and again, be honest, and just reply any questions they ask with the honesty.
Thank you. Let me ask you one question. What was the
Okay.
first thing you wanted to change in your community after your arrival in Uzbekistan?
And the first thing I really want to change was the in my university or in my schools or lyceum where I have studied, I have never seen like communities, like where people gathered together, solved some kind of problem, or came up with some kind of new ideas and did some kind of change. But in the United States, they have these small groups or like communities they organize, like students themselves organize, even if they are freshmen or just even if they are not university students. students, they have this power that they just organize some kind of little groups and discuss something or create something. And these communities are made of people who have the same, for example, interests or common interests. So when I came back, I really wanted to change it. So I make some kind of small unions where I could work with people who have common interests with me and change this kind of culture. So the all the, for example, education, for example, institutes have this kind of communities. So it really helps, for example, to even for the country to develop, because people who have the same mind, same interests are together and they can make some kind of difference.
Thank you very much. That's a great idea. Having different communities that you can hang out with, and
yeah, sure.
Really helpful. Actually, I don't see any more questions, and it's time to wrap up. And I want to say huge thanks to you, Durdona, for sharing your amazing experience with us and being our speaker today. I also want to thank our audience for joining us and for asking wonderful questions. See you all next time.
Yeah, thank you all. Thank you for questions. Thank you for your comments. And thank you, Dania, for organizing such events. Even if you are staying at home. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, I told you the time flew. It was really interesting, remarkable presentation. Thank you again.
Thank you.
And see you all next time on the USG Alumni Talks. Stay safe and healthy. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.